Welcome back to the Hobby Homestead. We are in my front yard today, which is a little bit different for us. I have in front of me some Sproutbox raised beds. I have a big one in the backyard that I'm loving, and I've just got 3 more now. I ordered 2 of them, and then Sproutbox was kind enough to gift me with a 3rd one because we have a special project these beds are going to go towards. Before I start setting these new garden beds up though, I need to map out what size and shape I can make them given the space I have available for the project. Sproutbox beds are configurable, so you can make them long and narrow, regular rectangles, or big squares, or U-shapes, or circles. You can also connect multiple beds together with the help of extra bracing rods and however many individual panels you want to buy separately. Now that I have my measurements, it's time to head back inside and sketch out the best configuration for this space. This is the Sproutbox Garden Planner. It works really well to help you map out how to configure your beds. It's also handy because you can input the space you have to work with, and it'll show you exactly what beds you need to fill the space the way you want. I've also used this planner to map out gardens that we built ourselves, not just for their beds. Once you've input the dimensions of the land that you have to work with, you can drop beds onto it. And if you select the bed height that you want, that generates the correct parts list into your carts as you map out how you want the space to look. I selected the shortest 8-inch tall beds for this project because, as you may have noticed in the intro, these beds are going on the boulevard, and we have height restrictions in our municipal bylaws that I have to keep in mind. When I have a choice though, I always go with the tallest beds possible to make life easier with my bad back. It's simple to move beds around in the drawing, to duplicate beds, and to rotate them. You can also change the length. I settled on making these 3.5 by 6.5 feet, running lengthwise down the boulevard. There's also a 3D view, which isn't as satisfying with just a simple rectangle garden plan, but it does look really cool when you design something more substantial. I designed my mom's garden in here last year, and if you add trellises, greenhouses, trees, and fun-shaped beds, it really gives you the feel for how the space will turn out. So we're just going to open these up, and I'm going to get to work constructing them. I'll mention here, this is not a paid or sponsored video, but I do have an affiliate link for Sproutbox in the description. If you choose to buy through that link, it helps support my hobby homestead business. I don't recommend products lightly, and I'll rarely say that you need something to garden well. If you've been here for a while, you know I love DIY. Most of our raised beds are DIY, made from reclaimed materials. But I think of Sproutbox like a splurge on well-made clothing. Most of the clothes that I buy are secondhand, but sometimes it's worth investing in something durable, well-designed. These are said to last 20 years, but I can see these lasting a gardener's lifetime. So that's why I've invested in them for some of the special places in my garden. Okay, well, I thought that they changed their packaging and did not put this plastic sheeting on top of the metal. And so I was putting it all together, and then I noticed a little bit of a blip in the plastic. So yeah, they're still covered. That film was invisible. I didn't know it was still there. It's an unfortunate part of the packaging, but again, they don't want the metal bits to get scratched in transit. So now I have to go through and take all the plastic sheets off, which means I have to undo the bolts that I have done up already. It's time to tell you what this little garden project is. We're installing a little free garden for our neighbors to harvest from as needed. This project idea came to me because I've been meeting a lot of people at the workshops I give who don't have access to land to grow on. They're there to learn to grow food, they want to grow food, but they just don't have the land to do it on. So it's not just the next generation of farmers who can't find or afford land, which is a big part of our food system crisis right now. There are also just a lot of people out there who want to be able to grow food or to access locally grown food who can't. There are, of course, community gardens where people can pay to get a plot, but where I am, at least, there are some long wait lists at many of these gardens. So I wanted to create a space where people could grab some fresh homegrown veggies as they walk through the neighborhood. For some folks living in apartments or those whose bodies just can't do the physical aspects of tending to a garden, I hope that this tiny garden will bring them some of the joy that I get when I grill up a fresh picked zucchini or graze on cherry tomatoes that are warm from the sun. And before you say, it looks like you live in a neighborhood with big houses and big yards, do your neighbors really need a few free cherry tomatoes? I answer you with this. First, I live in a neighborhood with very diverse incomes and life situations. There are a lot of apartments and townhouses across the street that have no yards. And second, with the way the world is going, you cannot assume that just because someone could get a mortgage a while ago, that they don't have trouble affording groceries. Anyway, back to the garden installation. I lined these beds with cardboard to suffocate any weeds that might grow up through the soil, but honestly, 8 inches of soil is probably plenty to suffocate the weeds without added cardboard. I filled the beds with GrowMax soil. That's my bulk soil of choice. It's made here in Ontario. I order in a few yards every couple of years to top up old beds and fill any new ones. We're always building new gardens here. If you're wondering how many yards of soil you need to fill a new raised bed, there are lots of easy-to-use calculators you can find online, or perhaps you remember grade school math well enough to just calculate the area using a pencil and paper. Power to you if you can. It has been 1 month since we put in these Sproutbox beds. It's time to give you an update. So it's been a really cold and dry May so far, and that means things are growing really slowly. However, we do have some peas, and even though the rabbits did have a snack on these peas, they're growing back. And I have full faith that by middle of June, we're gonna start seeing some blossoms on these peas. If you watch my channel and you see my other videos, you know that our peas in our back garden are way far ahead of this. And that's because I start them inside, transplant them out. And this year, over any other year, has shown me just how resilient pea seedlings are. I'm definitely gonna continue starting them indoors. Today, we're also planting some warm weather crops in these Sproutbox beds, and I'm pushing the limits a little bit because it is still fairly chilly, although we're well past our average frost date, our average last frost, so it should be fine. We did have a frost warning last night though. There is actually a little pepper on this pepper plant, and most people will tell you pinch the blossoms off until you plant them because you want the plant to get established. I don't tend to worry about that so much. I treat my plants like they are tougher than they are. And they prove to me that maybe they are as tough as I think they are because they're always absolutely fine. So I'm leaving the blossoms on this pepper plant to plant it out. We're also gonna add some eggplant, which loves it warm, but it is what it is here. And some basils. And a bunch of little determinate tomatoes that I never even bothered potting up out of this pot. There are 7 little seedlings that have been in here for probably over a month. Yeah, a month and a half now. They really need to get planted. Oh, and more peppers here. So let's get started, and then I'll give you a full tour of what we have growing in our little community garden Sproutbox beds. This eggplant got a little bit sunburned, but its new leaves look fine. This is the candy cane chocolate cherry pepper plant that I got free seeds from West Coast Seeds to try them out this year. And I'm leaving them planted together like this. There's 2 plants in this pot. There's this old saying that goes, pepper plants like to hold hands. And so they are holding their root hands right now. And in my experience, pepper plants do really like to be planted close together. Now you can't plant your whole patch right up next to each other because then they'll compete for nutrients. Like if you have, 20 pepper plants, but if you plant 2 at a time pretty close, they seem to really like that. And of course I've grown peppers in containers plenty over the years and they do well like that too. Next are our tomatoes. Now these are a determinate variety called Gold Nugget. And determinate tomatoes just don't grow as tall. They also only put on so much fruit, but they do it all over the course of probably 6 weeks. And then they sort of shrivel up and die, which is fine because I think that this garden will be really good for fall planting. And so if these tomatoes go in now and they produce fruit in July and early August and then they shrivel up and die, by the end of August I can be planting spinach or other things like that in here. I'm not going to fit all of these tomato plants in here. I think there's probably room for 4 comfortably. This is a 6.5 foot long bed. But these plants do get very bushy. Whereas with my indeterminate tomatoes, I prune them upwards, keep them quite contained vertically. With these bush tomatoes or determinate tomatoes, if you prune them, you're cutting out some of the predetermined amount of growth that they're going to have, and then you just won't have as many tomatoes as you could get. So we don't prune these. Instead, we just let them get bushy. So I'm going to give them proper spacing. The reason I'm using determinate tomatoes here is because I don't want to go over my height restrictions. I'm not going to be putting trellises in this garden. So we're using dwarf peas, bush beans, and determinate tomatoes. Hi. Yeah. Yeah, those were onion sets. Yeah. Oh, good. Good. I'm glad you like it. This is for the community, this garden here. So anytime you're walking by, if you see stuff ready to harvest, you can help yourself. I've been having trouble figuring out where exactly to plant certain things because this is a lot less space than I'm used to growing in, and that I think is a very healthy challenge. But I think what we're going to do is sow some bush bean seeds where the lettuce is, and then as it warms up a little bit, those beans are going to come up. They're going to grow slowly in this weather, but it is the end of May. We got to get them in if we're going to get them in. And then as this lettuce matures and people pick it and make salads with it, hopefully, then the beans are going to be able to fill in that space. And so back here where there's just a little bit more room, we're going to do squash and what did I bring out here? Just squash? I forgot. Yeah, a lot of squash, like winter squash particularly, things like acorn squash and butternut squash. They can sprawl. And then you end up with like vines all over, either taking over the bed or all over your lawn around it where you have to lift them up to cut the lawn. So finding smaller bush varieties is handy for container gardening and smaller raised beds. And I'm going to sow 2 seeds of this kusa squash here, just in case one doesn't germinate. The most annoying thing for me so far about tending to this garden is that my hose doesn't reach out here. And I do have a rain barrel, but this is uphill from the rain barrel. And I have a pump for the rain barrel, but it's hooked up to the one in the backyard. So it's just inconvenient to water these. But we're supposed to get an incredibly rainy weekend. So I'm looking forward to it watering itself. I just planted kusa squash there. And my mom gave me some of her like regular, Black Beauty or green something zucchini, just basic zucchini that I'll put over here. Boy, I hope people actually eat zucchini. We don't go through a whole lot of it. I end up just freezing it shredded for muffins. I got these cute little bush bean seeds. They're called mascot, and they are very, very tiny. They're good for container growing. So I thought, why not try them out here? And a few purple beans just because the novelty. All set. The garden is mostly planted now, and I'm really excited for people to be able to see what grows in small spaces like this. I mean, if everybody had food gardens on their boulevards, imagine the amount of food that would be available to the community. You could grow everything. You could grow dried beans, you could grow corn, you could do it all. It's just a little experiment to show people what they can do in their space and also provide free food for the community. There's always tons of free food when you have a garden. If you're intrigued by these Sproutbox beds, please do check out my affiliate link in the description box. And if you like this kind of content, subscribe. I would love to have you along for the ride. I hope you'll come and grow with us.